For over 400 years, the world has spoken his words. Lovers quote him. Politicians twist him. Teenagers dread him in school. But how well do we really know the man behind the curtain? Behind the poetry, the drama? Was there a deeper mystery? Was he even real? Or just a brilliant mask for someone else? This is the untold story of William Shakespeare. Stratford-upon-Avon, a quiet market town nestled in the heart of England. It's here on April 23rd, 1564 or so we believe William Shakespeare was born. Not into nobility, not into wealth, but into a world of tradesmen, church bells, and muddy streets. His father, John Shakespeare, was a glove maker, a man of ambition, who rose to the town council, only to later fall into debt and disgrace. His mother, Mary Arden, came from old Warwickshire farming, stock-rooted in land and tradition. We know almost nothing of his early childhood, only that young William likely attended the local grammar school, where Latin was drilled and imagination was stifled. But somewhere in those dusty rooms, among the scrolls of Virgil and Ovid, a storyteller was awakening. He would marry young, Anne Hathaway, 8 years older than him, already pregnant. A shotgun wedding, some say. Perhaps even a scandal. But then, just as quickly as he appeared, he vanished. From 1585 to 1592, William Shakespeare disappears. No letters, no journals, no parish records. For 7 long years, he leaves behind only silence. Some say he fled Stratford to escape a charge of poaching, caught hunting on noble lands. Others whisper he was working as a schoolmaster in the countryside, educating noble children white writing verse in secret. Was he a soldier, marching in the bloody campaigns of Ireland? A sailor venturing across the Channel, witnessing the chaos of a world reshaped by war and plague? By the time he resurfaces in London in 1592, the stage has changed, and so has he. A critic mocks him in print, calling him an upstart crow, a country boy pretending to be a poet. But the boy from Stratford was no imposter. He was about to change the world. The year is 1592. London, a city pulsing with ambition, disease, and dreams. The plague returns in waves, theaters close without warning. And yet somewhere in this chaos, a voice begins to rise. He writes like no one else. His words aren't just lines. They breathe, bleed, break. Love in Verona, betrayal in Denmark, ambition in Scotland. Plays that mirror kings and criminals alike. He becomes the toast of London, not just a playwright, but a phenomenon. The Globe Theatre rises, co-owned by Shakespeare himself, a wooden O that echoes with poetry and power. But the spotlight isn't kind. Rivals like Ben Jonson and Marlowe sharpen their pens mocking his lack of formal education, questioning his worth. And still, he writes 154 sonnets, dozens of plays, histories that reimagine kings, tragedies that haunt generations, comedies that laugh at power and yet touch the soul. He doesn't just entertain England, he becomes its voice. His command of history, philosophy, politics, and court life was staggering. But here's the question that refuses to die. How could a man with no university education, the son of a glove maker from a rural town, write with such sophistication and depth? A philosopher and statesman, educated, powerful. Some claim Bacon used Shakespeare as a front hiding his true authorship beneath the mask of a humble actor. Marlowe, a rival playwright, brilliant, dangerous, officially stabbed to death in a tavern brawl. Or was he? Some believe Marlowe faked his death and wrote in exit using Shakespeare's name as a shield. A nobleman with deep court connections, fluent in multiple languages, traveled across Europe just like the characters in the plays. He had the knowledge, the background, and the motive. But he died in 1604 before some of Shakespeare's greatest works were even written. And yet, no solid proof, no confession, no manuscript in another's hand, only questions. Maybe the mystery is the point. Maybe genius doesn't need a crown, just a voice. Behind the applause was a man quietly breaking, William Shakespeare. The voice of love and loss knew both far too well. The death of Hamnet. In 1596, Shakespeare's only son, Hamnet, died, just 11 years old. No known cause, no surviving letters from the father who loved him. Some scholars say Hamlet wasn't fiction. It was mourning in disguise, a father crying out through the veil of theater. His wife Anne left behind. While he rose to fame in the city, she remained in the countryside raising children alone, watching their son's grave grow cold. He rarely returned home. When he died, his will left her the second best bed. Was it spite, a private joke, or something more, quietly tragic? By 1611, at the height of his power, he simply walked away, left the stage, sold his shares, retired in silence, as if the world he'd built with words had become too loud to bear. He gave the world Romeo and Juliet, but buried his own son. He spoke of eternal love while growing distant from his wife. He made kings immortal, but faded into the shadows himself. In 1611, at just 47 years old, Shakespeare walked away from London, leaving behind the globe, the fame, the lights. He returned to Stratford, to the quiet home where it all began. But the boy who once dreamed of kings had become a man worn thin by them. His final will, drafted in 1616, was cold, methodical, precise. He named his daughter Susanna his primary heir, and left Anne, his wife of 34 years, the second best bed. No mention of plays, no farewell to the theater, no trace of the manuscripts that once filled his soul. On April 23rd, 1616, the day he was believed to be born, William Shakespeare died. Just a grave and a haunting epitaph. No cause was recorded, no grand funeral. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones. A warning carved in verse, as if even in death, he feared being disturbed. Was it illness? Regret? Poisoned wine, as some say? Or did the greatest storyteller simply choose a quiet ending? He died 400 years ago, and yet we still speak his words. Across continents, across languages, across centuries, William Shakespeare is everywhere. His plays have been performed more than any other writer in history, reimagined in every form: film, opera, television, even hip-hop. From London to Los Angeles, Tokyo to Toronto, the stage still belongs to him. In classrooms across America, he remains a rite of passage. His language, once foreign, becomes familiar. His characters, reflections of ourselves. Jealousy, ambition, desire, guilt. He understood the shadows of the human heart and held them up to the light. Presidents quote him. Teenagers post his lines on Instagram. His name has survived wars, revolutions, plagues, and printing presses. He wrote by candlelight, and yet somehow, his voice echoes through satellites and screens. In a world divided by noise, his words still make us stop, still make us feel. We may never know the whole truth, not about the lost years, not about the man behind the quill, not even about the authorship of the plays that changed the world. But maybe that's the magic. Maybe William Shakespeare was never meant to be fully known, only felt. Felt in a whispered soliloquy, in a lover's quarrel on stage, in the silence that follows a final line. The truth may be forever cloaked in ink and time, but the soul of William Shakespeare lives on in every whispered soliloquy. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life, the mystery, and the legacy of William Shakespeare. If this story moved you, there's more to uncover. Subscribe to Untold Lives USA for more cinematic documentaries, where the forgotten, the misunderstood, and the legendary come back to life. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.